It's the Franklin Show, live from Franklin with America's favorite adopted pup, Franklin Delano Roosevelt Lloyd Wright Sinatra Seltzer, and his friend and favorite Franklin dog adopter, Michael Seltzer. I'm your announcer, semi-retired Jim Harper, living on a pension. And now, here's Franklin.
Wow, thank you so much, and thank you, Doc. What a great band tonight. Thanks, Doc. Thank you to everybody in this fabulous audience. Thank you for being here. It's great to be back in studio. My friend Franklin is got a little head cold, and so he is not with us in studio today. So filling in for Franklin is this little guy. Thanks to my great announcer, Jim Harper. Jim and I go back decades. My God, we were friends back in the days when he was on WMJC and WNIC, and we were boating buddies too. We shared boats at the Detroit Boat Club, so there was great times. Thank you, Jim. And I think I'm going to just wander over here to the desk and have a seat and make myself comfortable. And hi, I'm right here. So we had a great honor, Franklin and I. Recently, we were invited to the White House to meet President Biden. And what an honor for both of us. Unfortunately, Joe's dog, Commander, and Franklin just didn't get along. Now, we've heard a lot of stories about Commander, and they're all true. So I have nothing more to share about that, but nonetheless, a great honor. On that subject, though, I want to play for you a wonderful voicemail message we got. So let me go ahead here, and I'm going to press the message button and listen in to this wonderful message that we got.
Hello, Franklin. It's your favorite president of all time, Donald J. Trump, and I just want to wish you great success on your hugely popular new Franklin Show. I love the cats. I love the dogs. By the way, Franklin, you don't need that Michael guy on your show. I mean, let's be honest. Come on. You're really the star of the show.
Wow.
He's holding you back
Well,
like a dog. Like a dog.
What can you say? I mean, I guess there's a lot of truth in that, right? Well, thank you very much, everybody. We have a great show lined up for you tonight, so stay tuned and we'll be right back on The Franklin Show. Thank you, everybody.
A ticking bomb means trouble for Batman and Robin.
Holy, breaking and entering! It's Batgirl!
Quick, Batgirl, untie us before it's too late.
It's already too late. I've worked for you a long time, and I'm paid less than Robin. Same job, same employer means equal pay for men and women.
No time for jokes, Batgirl.
It's no joke. It's the federal equal pay law.
Holy act of Congress!
If you're not getting equal pay, contact the Wage and Hour Division, U.S. Department of Labor.
Hi, everybody. Yes, sir. I am back, and my little friend filling in for Franklin is right here just to keep me warm and cozy. I am very, very pleased and proud to introduce to you a longtime friend of mine, a big showbiz celebrity in and of himself, former media critic here in Detroit from the Detroit News and the Metro Times, and an award-winning journalist. He's written a number of books. He was inducted into the Michigan Journalism Hall of Fame in 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend and his, Jim McFarlin. Hi there,
Michael. What an intro. Good morning. How are you, sir?
It's the last great thing I'm going to say. So the rest of this it's all you. You're sitting there in your beautiful Hall of Fame room, and
My corner of the world. That's right.
Yeah. So Jim.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about your career. Let's go back to the beginning, years and years ago, decades ago, when we first became associated, because we're both media giants.
Well, what is this?
Yeah. You were at the Detroit News. Was that the beginning of the beginning?
No. I'm from West Michigan originally, and I went to a small, private, wonderful college called Hope College in Holland, Michigan, where I now sit on the board of trustees. full circle event. And I was looking to get into communications, but in a small town in West Michigan, the big town was Grand Rapids. And everybody I talked to in Grand Rapids said, come back when you get some experience. And I said, where can I go that's smaller than Grand Rapids to get experience? Doesn't make any sense at all. So out of frustration, I talked to my journalism professor and said, hey, maybe I'm not cut out for this. My father had a great career as a factory worker, and he provided for us. Maybe that's where I should go. And he looked at me and said, Jim, you're a fine writer. You just never come to class. I said, oh, well, if you told me that during class, I would have come more often. So he invited me to go to his paper. He was the publisher for the Grand Rapids Press. And he said, come to my paper. We'll fill out an imaginary employment. We can do some talking to the publishers and the editors and the staff, and just to get an experience. So if you ever get a chance to be interviewed for a newspaper job, you'll at least know what it's like. So I went to Grand Rapids, and with no promise of a job, I just went to kind of go through the motions. And here's how God works. On my way home from that fake interview, a fellow classmate of mine at Hope, who was working at the Grand Rapids Press, got an offer of marriage. She said, I want to propose to you, honey, but we have to leave right away because I've got a job in New York. She resigned as I was driving home. By the time I got home, there was a call on my answering machine that said, could you come back tomorrow because your resume is on top of the pile and we kind of like you. So that was the start of my career in Grand Rapids. I worked there for 5 years, moved to Detroit. Actually, my wife moved to Detroit. I came with her, got a job at the news, and I was there for way too long.
And here's the tragedy. We'll never know what a fine factory worker you would have been.
Not necessarily true, because in the summers I did work in a factory. I had a factory job sanding cabinets for commercial use. And I would come home, I literally come home white every day. And so I had to jump in the shower.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. No, I'm to white people. But yeah, that's
some of your best friends are white.
That's what I said. Yeah, and I had no real interest in print journalism. I saw myself as a radio, TV kind of guy. But you take the jobs as they come to you, and it wasn't too long before I got into it and realized I actually could write. And when you know, Michael, when you see your work published and you look at it and go, I did that, there's a kind of a ego thing. There's a boost, a little adrenaline rush that comes through you. So that was the start of like, oh, I can do this. People will read it and they actually kind of like it. So maybe I will do this for a while. And sometimes, you don't know sometimes what your own talent is. Sometimes people have to tell you or reinforce you that you're really good at this. I said, really? Yes, you are. And that's kind of where it came from.
That's true, because I still don't know where my real talent lies, and no one will tell me if I have it.
You are so multi-talented, Michael, that it's hard to pick just one to say this is what you need to do.
I like this theme that you're going down. Hey, this is a good road. Go ahead, continue on. I'll just sit back.
I'm on a roll.
All right. So how many years were you at the Detroit News?
I was at the Detroit News from 1979 to 1995. And ironically, might still be there today had not the great unholy newspaper strike of 1995 happened. Weird story. I was a TV critic for the Detroit News at the time. And twice a year, all the TV critics in North America assemble in Los Angeles to look at the shows that are coming up for the fall and look at other things that are happening in the TV industry. So I was in LA, and there was rumblings that the strike was going to happen. And it looked like it was going to happen while I was on assignment on the coast. And I'm praying every day, Michael, please don't let the strike happen when I'm in LA. Because, I've got this great hotel room. I'm in Hollywood. I'm hot with stars. Like, please don't make. And sure enough, I remember I was at a pool party with Fox and talking to stars of the new Fox season. And I got the word that we are now on strike. And I said, the room's paid for and I'm in LA. I could just stay here. But I said, no, that's not going to work because I'll have no money if you go on strike and they'll expect me to pay them back. So, I actually did something reasonable for one a few times in my life. I said, get back on the plane, Jim, and fly back to Detroit and get on the picket line. I don't want to do it, but I guess I got it. So that was it. I mean,
and they may not have paid for your return trip
Well, no, I had the ticket. But they would have made me pay them back for it. That was the problem. So I came back reluctantly and went on the picket line. And the irony is that they punished in some way, shape, or fashion everybody who went out on strike. When the strike was over, it's time to come back. They said to me, "You can come back and work at the news if you want, but you'll have to take the farm and garden beat." I said, "Thank you." That was my reaction.
After going from Hollywood and
yes,
all the stars.
Quite the transition, yeah. But it was like, I mean, the late, great Molly Abraham, who was one of the city's finest restaurant critics for a long, long time, when she said, "We'll bring you back to your job, but you have to write obituaries." And what she did, she was so cool. What she did, she wrote the obituaries, but in every obituary she wrote, she talked about the deceased's dining habits and favorite restaurants. and she put a review in the obituary about, and he loved the Chop House, and here's the stuff. So
how
she
far
paid
in advance did they write obituaries? Like, is there one for me right now that says he loves to go to Taco Bell? I
mean, it wouldn't surprise me because I think once you reach a certain stage in life, not that you won't live forever, but your days on earth may be numbered. So if you're like, I'll bet you Kwame Kilpatrick's obit is written. I'll bet you many people who are prominent, legendary celebrities in and around Detroit and nationwide. I'm sure the New York Times has a whole a room full of obits that they can, or at least they've done the research so that when the past, because there's no times that you kind of go kind of sudden. So like Nikki Giovanni died just the other day, and I'm certain that there are across the country obituaries already written for her that are just plugged into place when she actually leaves this mortal coil.
That brings to mind a new project. I think I'd like to actually delve into that and find out if there are current obituaries for, say, you and I, legendary media personalities who are nearing our twilight.
I wonder how you get out of that sentence. I think it's not a bad idea because what happens is you don't get to participate in your obituary.
Yeah.
They always call somebody who probably didn't know you that well, but somebody they can reach and say,
Art Polo. That's who they call.
Yeah. Radio's best friend would be your man. Is that, tell us about Michael. And he might give you a quote, but I'd love to participate and say, mention this, don't mention that, emphasize this. I also did this and this, which you may not know. I don't know if there's a way to do that, but call your local paper and say, hey, you got an obituary department? I want to talk to me. I want to lay myself out, if that's all right with you, no pun intended.
All right. So then after the Detroit News, you ended up at the Metro Times. Was that the next stop?
I did work at the Metro Times for a few years. I was their resident TV critic, and that was a lot of fun because I felt like because of the nature of the Detroit Metro Times, I could be a lot more irreverent than I could for the quite conservative Detroit News. So, and the editor just said, say what you want to say, drop a swear word in there every now and then if you so desire. And so I had a field day. We called it idiot boxing, my being the idiot, and talking about local TV as well as national and network TV. And during that time, I also got to host my own sports show on cable that included Lomas Brown was my co-host, and we talked a lot about football, obviously, but I had a great time doing that. I've been blessed, Michael, because I think I'm kind of transitional. I like to think I can do a number of things fairly well. I had my own radio show in Detroit. Like I said, I had a cable TV show and was writing for publications. I still write for the Metro Times in our Detroit, and I'm very honored about that because I don't live in Detroit anymore. I live in Champaign, Illinois. But the editor of Our Detroit told me the other day, you're my sports and entertainment guy. I said, I can't be your sports and entertainment guy. I don't even live in Detroit. How can I be your sports and entertainment? But she allowed me to write the cover story on Dan Campbell when they named him Detroit of the Year and a number of other things. It's not out yet. I think it's coming the next issue. I did a piece for Our Detroit. They have an all music issue. They asked me to write a piece on being the rock and roll critic in Detroit for 10 years in the 80s. And as my wife, Karen, is always fond of saying when someone asks about my past, he was a rock critic in Detroit in the 80s. Anything you think he did it. And that would be funny if it weren't so true. But
and that was the best time to be a rock critic, was
talk to me.
Right?
You know,
Yeah.
Seeger's still in his prime. Nugent's still performing. The Romantics are just coming out. You've got this, it's a little pre-Eminem, but some of the real rock and roll figureheads of our city were in their prime and really rocking. And I got to know them on, a personal basis, and it was so much fun. What was really impressive to me, I'm getting on a tangent, but I don't know this for a fact, Michael, but I'm willing to wager there could have been more than the number of fingers on your hand in terms of people of color who covered rock and roll for any kind of publication. So being a black rock critic in Detroit, and when touring bands would come from Great Britain or from around the country come to Detroit, and there's a black rock critic in Detroit. Well, that makes sense because Detroit's like 102% black. So that, but
Hey, but I came from Detroit. I'm 100% white. So just let
I'll have you know.
No, I'll have you know. All right. But now you have the great privilege of selecting topics to write about, right? I mean, you basically can go to our magazine and Metro Times and say, I've got an idea, I've got a topic, right? They don't.
Yeah.
Right.
It's wonderful. Well, what I have is an ear. And at this point, it's great to have, when you're, in and around the media, you have the editor's ear, and they will at least listen to you, and you'll say, here's what I'm thinking. They can say yes or no. In fact, the Metro Times came to me last summer and said, will you write the preview issue for the Detroit Lions season? And I said, really? I mean, like I said, I'm not in Detroit, so the fact they reach out to me to do that kind of stuff is really impressive to me. But I am like the surrogate. A lot of PR people, a lot of friends will come to me and say, I've got this idea. I don't have the ear. Could you go to the Metro Times? Could you go to Howard? Go to other publications and say, and just pitch the story? Because they'll listen to you. I'm just some guy on the street. So I've kind of like, I'm the middleman now. And
I love that. And the other thing I want to thank you for, and because we're running out of time, is that you were very helpful to me when we were doing the Robin Seymour book, the DJ that launched 1,000 hits, which was a book that I helped create for our dear friend Robin Seymour, who was a major radio and TV personality.
No question.
Right in the 60s and 70s. As he approached his 90th, I kept telling him he needed to write his life story. He didn't think anybody was interested. We got the book published. He took a look at it and said, do you mind if I help editing? And you and Susan Whitehall dove in and you cleaned it up for me and Robin, and I'm grateful for that. And you did a great job. And then I had an idea with one of our other great iconic radio DJ friends from Detroit, Pat St. John. I said, Pat, you need to write a story of your life. And he didn't know where to begin. And I said, let me introduce you to my friend Jim McFarlin. And you two hit it off. And you're in the process of completing a book about our great friend, Pat St. John, who is currently broadcasting live every day on Sirius XM, but came from Keener 13, CKLW, Riff, and then on to New York, where he reigned for 20 some years, and recently inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame.
Yes.
So,
yes. I mean, I thank you for that more than you know. It is so weird to hear Pat St. John on your phone. I mean, I listen to him every day, and it's, hello, Jim. He's got those pipes. You go,
right.
He's talking to me. He's just not
crazy.
It's the book was almost finished, and then he got inducted into the Hall of Fame. And while we expected it, it occurred to us that we need to now restructure the book because he wasn't in the Hall of Fame when we got the first manuscript pretty much completed. So we've really had to rewrite the book in many cases, take stuff out of other chapters, put in the chapter. But we're both on board. We're both gung-ho. I think first quarter of 25 is coming out.
Oh, that's so great. Look forward to that. So I want to have you back when the book comes out, and maybe you and Pat will come back on the show.
That would be great.
I would love to do that.
I would love
Hey,
that.
Jim, thanks for your time today. You and I go way, way back, decades, and I really appreciate your friendship all these years and the great work you've done. You are Mr. Detroit Rock and Mr. Detroit Broadcasting, and we appreciate you. Thanks for being on the Franklin Show today.
You're making me kind of weepy, Michael, but thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate it. Always a pleasure to see you and talk to you.
Always.
And I wish Franklin could have made it in person, but the
I
surgery
wish
have to do.
Say hi to Karen for me, and we
I
will
will.
talk.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jim. All right, folks, we'll be right back with our next guest. Thanks for tuning in today.
I know a place that's peaceful and quiet, a place where animals play. It's called the forest, but every year we start forest fires. A careless match or cigarette and poof, fire. So the next time you're in the forest, be extra careful, okay?
If you knew it was me, would you have listened?
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Franklin Show. Once again, I'm here with my little friend, the fill-in Franklin. And it is a great honor for me to welcome a guest to the show who I am in just tremendous awe of. Linda Schlesinger Wagner is the entrepreneur behind Skinnytees, but she's also a designer, a philanthropist, and she is an incredible woman with an incredible story. And so, Linda, welcome to the Franklin Show. Thank you.
I'm honored to be here.
Yes, I am so honored to have you. I know that the history of you is just it's an amazing story, and I know it goes back to many, many, many years ago when you had a little kid store called Rainbow Lollipops. I think that was in the late 70s.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
And then in the knitwear business with Annie M. And you had these wonderful ideas, and then you had some change in your life, a marital change, and then you met Monty Must, and I think that's when I came to know you because my beautiful wife Lori, and is Monty's business manager, and she introduced us, and then you went on the road with Monty. Doing that incredible Holocaust survivor series all over the world traveling. And in case people don't know, Monty Must is a wonderful local photographer, just a tremendous, generous, soulful, wonderful person who created this series of books about the Holocaust. And they're just tremendous. And Linda was a part of that project. But then you decided that you needed to get off and get back to your entrepreneurial side, and you created this unbelievable business called Skinnytees. So talk to us about wherever you want to start.
Okay.
But, I mean, that in a nutshell, I mean, I know your son got you on QVC. I know the whole great story, but the public doesn't. So take it away.
So I worked with Monty, who I knew Monty since for 45 years. I mean, our daughters went to school together, and through unfortunate circumstances, she did the Holocaust thing. And I feel like that's one of the best things I ever did in my life, because I am an active reader every night still today. From when I was 10 or 11 years old, I read about the Holocaust. I am so well read about it. So I did that project with Monty. I also helped her, and I did a lot of her photo shoots as a stylist because I knew fabric. And while I'm doing the Holocaust thing, I have discovered that my son is a drug addict, and I want out of my marriage because it was an empty marriage. So I had all that going on one time.
Well,
and
I know how that goes. I'll tell you that right now.
But what? You just have to.
An empty marriage. You see, I was making a joke.
I know. I'm
Lori will be listening, you know. I'm sorry.
Best woman ever, and she puts up with your mouth. Let's talk about that. Let's not even go there.
Well,
but you know, really, and I was divorced. I had to earn money. I had to get back in the game. I worked with Monty. I worked with party planners, did Dan Gilbert's parties. I did a lot of different things. I volunteered at Jewish Family Services, which all at the end of the day, all gave me my mojo back. And in the middle of the night, For real, because that's when I do my best thinking, like a lot of us. I thought I'm going to do something that appeals to all women, all sizes, all ages. I'm going to take a camisole. I didn't reinvent the wheel. I took a camisole, but I was already 61. It was 15 years ago. I was sick of, I didn't want to lean over or pull up and see my tummy or the back of me, little rolls. So I didn't recreate the wheel. I made it longer. And I went on GoDaddy. I'd never been on. I got that name, skinnytees.com, for 89 cents a year, 15 years ago. Called my kids the next day. I called my son first, marketing guy. And I said, David, I have this great idea. I'm going to do these camisoles, blah, 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 blah. He said, oh, great. Let's get you a great name. I said, I already have it. I got skinnytees.com. I listened to what you said. I went on GoDaddy. And he did say to me, and we still laugh about it, there's no way you got that name. I broker name. That's a $25,000 name. Well, he's right. It is today. People want that name. And I did really get that. And I went to my contractor who had made some things for me. And when I closed my knitwear company, I had paid all my bills, even though I was a corporation where you don't legally have to. And he remembered that and he gave me credit right off the bat. And I borrowed $1,000 from my friend and really just.
By the way, when are you going to pay me back that $1,000?
With lots of interest. It was actually a friend's credit card up to $1,000. And really, I just networked it. I wouldn't go to the stores who had bought my women's sweaters. I wanted new business because I called it. It was hard for me to always ask for help. So I didn't want a mercy order. I wanted people who wanted Skinny Tees because they wanted it. And my first store was in Brighton, Michigan. She became my all-time, to this day, biggest user, single store owner, biggest user of Skinny Tees. She has since closed and moved down south. But now I have another store in Brighton who's doing equally as well. The Brighton area is a hot area. But I did that for a couple years, and David, my son, called and said, okay, you have to fly out here. I have a surprise for you. Bring some Skinny Tees. I go, oh, a surprise? And I'd go out and see my kids often. And really the surprise was, as he informed me the morning where he tells me he's picking me up. And he said, oh, where are the Skinny Tees? Turn around and go back to my daughter's house. I forgot to bring any. I didn't know. And we pull up in Santa Monica to a building and it has on the door QVC. And I go, oh no, I'm not ready for this. I was a little girl in the room. Well, I was ready for it. They made me see that I was ready for it. And they didn't really, at that point, they liked everything I said. And they wanted me to go on air. And then I had to fly to Pennsylvania to meet with all the 30-year-old buyers. And that became a journey that I was on. And I think from 2 years after I started that, I was 4 years in business and doing $6 million a year, which is pretty unheard of. I didn't owe a dime. It was magic. And I love the magic because I tell people all the time, they say, when are you going to retire? I'm going to be 77 in a month. I'm never retiring as long as I'm making money. And even when I'm not making money, which has been the last year and a half, I sprinkle the world with kindness. And whether it's something that costs money or my staff and I help people, that's what we do here at Skinny Tees. And that for me is what it's all about. And you know what? It comes back. I just signed my biggest deal. We let QVC on air go away a couple years ago because of some personality conflicts. And my girls are not paid enough to have any kind of personality problems with anybody. But we still did the on air, the .com, I mean. And so Friday, we signed our biggest deal we ever signed, back on air, all new buyers, all great people. And we're going to make it happen again.
Well, you got that great exposure when you went into that meeting, you probably had no concept that this was going to happen. Number one. Number two, only the owner and the creator has the passion to present it, and not everybody presents well, but you clearly do and did, and they saw in you somebody who, with that level of passion, you have to be on air, and so you became the signature of Skinnytees.
And that's interesting because Friday, after they gave us the deal, they called and said, oh, by the way, Linda's going to go on air. It's a TSV, so we're on for 24 hours. Once an hour, they talk about us, or I'm on air with the, actually, I'll tell a funny quick story with the host. And the host, when we first launched, was Sean Killinger, who's still there. She grew up in Grosse Pointe. She now lives in Pennsylvania. And she's been all over Facebook because she turned 50 this past summer. And it's 50 and fabulous and 50 and fabulous. And that's how I got back into QVC. I thought about it. I do a business program, and it's like a timeout for 2 days. You just think about things. And I said, I'm going back. She's this 50 and fabulous. So I literally wrote, I got the names of the buyers because they're different than the .com. And I wrote Linda Schlesinger, owner of Skinnytees. Sean Killinger launched our line. We did millions of dollars with you. We haven't been on air in a couple years, and we'd like to negotiate coming back. Sean is 50 and fabulous. I'm silly, sexy, or sensuous at 76. Take your pick.
Wow.
They didn't email me back. They called me back. They thought that was the funniest thing. I said, well, it's true.
That's fantastic. But you've also been the figurehead for the business on every major national TV program. You've been on Good Morning America. You've been on the Today Show. I mean, you've been everywhere. Am I right?
You're right. And Good Morning America, we're just finishing our holiday digital deal with them. We've been on 94 times. That's incredible. On their deals or View Your Deal. They like us, and it's
right.
And it sells. They like us, and it sells.
Well, you created an empire, and because of your background and because of your experiences of, being entrepreneurial, and then, losing everything and having to restart, which so many successful business people do. I mean, it's very fortunate if you can have a career, and I count myself as one. For 40 years, I ran a very successful marketing company. I started young, I retired young, but I saw a lot of people coming and going over those years. So, kudos to you for following your heart and your entrepreneurial spirit. Look at all the people that you've touched with your business, the people you employ, and the product that you've created that has obviously been a sensation. I just couldn't be happier for you. And you're one of the nicest people. You're philanthropic. You're giving. You're involved with Jewish Family Service. I am as well. I mean, that's what I've devoted my life to, is charity, because and doing the things I want to do, and the fun things like this show is just so much fun for me. And having people like you that I know and have great stories to tell just makes it even more exhilarating. So I couldn't be happier for you. And is there anything new you care to share about the business? Because we got to wrap this up pretty quick.
I know, but we're always doing our thing. We're always designing. This business has started with one style, now has over 200 styles. So we do it. We're doing it.
And people just go to the website.
Skinnytees.com. We're running a sale right now for the holidays. And
isn't that amazing that you were able to get that name on GoDaddy? Because I got the Franklin show. Took me 1 minute. Cost me 99 cents.
Now that's a good name too.
It's a great name. Obviously, how many shows are there with a puppy and an adopter? I mean, there's just nothing like this, right? So yeah, I couldn't be happier for you, and happier to have you on the show. And for our vast viewing audience, and it is vast, check out skinnytees.com. You will be delighted at the product, And my friend Linda has done a tremendous job. God bless you. Thank you for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it.
And let's talk. Let's sprinkle some kindness together.
You bet. I love that. Okay. Linda, thanks so much. Everybody, we'll be right back with more fun on The Franklin Show. Thanks for tuning in.
The man behind the mask wears 39 pounds of protective equipment. He knows the hazards of his work. In almost every occupation, every place of employment, there are safety hazards and dangers to your health that can be eliminated. That's the goal of the Occupational Safety and Health Law. Make it your goal. Contact the nearest Occupational Safety and Health office. We're concerned about your job safety and health. Are you?
Wow, what a great show tonight, everybody. Thanks to my great guests. Jim McFarlin, what a special treat having you on the show. And Linda Schlesinger Wagner, Skinnytees, what a tremendous entrepreneur. Thank you so much to both of you for being on the show. My great announcer, Jim Harper. Next week, you won't even believe what we've got planned, but it swings, and it may have something to do with Frank Sinatra. Stay tuned to The Franklin Show. Good night, everybody.